My name is Martin. A little bit about me. I'm semi-retired right now. Went to school recently at San Diego State for a degree in art. So I do painting on the side. I'm on a fixed income, so really that's where the retirement part comes in. On Social Security, disability income. Before that, I was full-time employee working as a draftsman / designer for several different companies in San Diego. On the health side, I've been disabled since 1977 from a spinal cord injury I suffered at that time. I guess 2007 is when I got diagnosed for diabetes, so I had to do a regimen of medications for that. Much more recently, which is last September, suffered heart attacks, admitted on 3 different occasions over a month. I have a whole bunch of new meds I got to take related to the heart, and then a new diagnosis in the sense of like I've got to get used to not only like was I having to adjust to being in a wheelchair, which I did fine, but this new diagnosis of congestive heart failure leaves me short of breath in everyday activities. So just getting in and out of the shower, getting on off the bed, on and off the couch is a little more effort. Definitely have to be careful in my transfers now because my heart will kind of accelerate right after the transfer. Just recently, which you might be aware of, but on a transfer I was trying to do in the middle of the night from my chair to the bed, I lost my balance and I fell to the ground. And that's how I twisted my ankle. So that probably would never have happened before had I not been in a weakened condition. Being in the hospital, since you're not doing anything but laying in bed, I wouldn't correctly assess how weak I was. It wasn't until I got discharged that I discovered that my everyday activity, rolling around my apartment, back and forth to the laundry room, the rec room, which was hilly, I discovered I was like, wow, this is difficult, very difficult. So that was my new understanding of what a weakened heart is. I should say that when I was discharged after that second major heart attack, I had the issue with the medicines. They prescribed Brilinta, which was a new med, and I was only given 1 day on discharge. So like the very next day I got that one amount of Brilinta, which is 1 pill, on my release. But discovered it was difficult to get that prescription filled. They didn't have it on hand.
They didn't have it on hand?
At first Ralph's and then later CVS. Well, the CVS pharmacy said they couldn't get it till the next day. So I assumed I was okay. I mean, I wasn't educated about Brilinta or my new condition enough to know that that was dangerous. Only to be at home suffering another heart attack in the morning.
So your stent clotted?
Clotted up, yeah. I found out that once a stent procedure is done, there is this like period of time immediately after that they really got to watch you. So I didn't know that either.
Okay. Have you ever had a challenge getting your medication?
Well, yeah. I mean, on top of the fact that I couldn't get that one particular med right away, it's a new expense. When you're on a fixed income, like I am, you budget for every last dollar, right? So when there's new expenses, especially when you go to the hospital and then all of a sudden you got new expenses, which are new meds, and then doctor visits, and then lab costs, and so on, you have to factor that in. And I wasn't factoring that in enough to know that by the end of the month I might be short enough money to get one of those meds, one of 11 new meds. I ran short of, I think, Lasix, and then maybe about 4 days short of Coreg. So due to
what did you do?
I went without them until I got the money. There's nothing you can do.
How long did you go without?
There's a share of cost.
How long did you go without your Lasix and your Coreg?
Lasix about a week, and the Coreg about 4 days.
And how much were those medications?
I think they were like 30-day supply. Ran $15 each for each one. But I was like that short, so. Well, it's always the same. Like when I was in a wheelchair from the spinal cord injury, I was there at the hospital for 2.5 months thinking they would educate me about my new diagnosis. And they did their best, but there was a whole bunch of things they never talked about what's being in a wheelchair is like and what obstacles I'll encounter, both physical and social. And in this situation with congestive heart failure, there's both of those factors too. There's physical for sure, which is shortness of breath. I would never roll down to the 7-Eleven like I'd done before. The 7-Eleven was about 2.5 miles away. Now I really have to like cancel that out because I can't take the chance of trying to go back up the hill, even if it's just a little short distance, because I could die. But the social part too, you know, you feel I don't know, embarrassed that you're kind of like in a disabled state, even more so for me. So you kind of want to, like, I don't know, not let too much of that out, but it's there. You know, I feel like I want to say like a senior citizen or an old man, but it makes you feel much less able to do things. Now I'm realizing the categorization I have to put that in. I always thought my spinal cord injury would be the most difficult to deal with, but congestive heart failure is definitely on top of the list.